Hi, my name is Dylan Harris, and this is my story. I grew up in a Christian home in Missouri. From an early age, Jesus was introduced to me. I attended church, youth group. I remember praying every night with my family before bed. But as I grew up, I got busy with school and sports, and my walk with God was not as huge of a priority in my life. I remember attending youth camps and encountering God, but I struggled to keep Him at the center of my life. I recall feeling so much pressure to have it all right between school, sports, and just me thinking about the way people saw me. I was a people pleaser. And I could work hard and do well on my own in sports and academics, but in my spiritual life and walk with God, it was just half-hearted. I just also remember having this great fear of going to hell, and so I tried my best to be what I thought would get me into heaven. And through this, I felt so much strain and shame in my life, and I could always just keep trying harder, but still failing miserably. And I couldn't understand why, but it seemed impossible. I tried to satisfy these needs of approval and fear with pornography, and at a very young age, it took a grip on me and pulled me into this dark place that frankly I didn't want to share with anyone, and it only led to more shame. It was about until 2 years ago when things began to change. At the time, I was in college experimenting with alcohol and partying, and this was probably the furthest that I'd ever been from God. But some of my friends were all planning on going to this event called Men's Encounter, and they asked me to tag along. And I'm so glad that I chose to go. That weekend, I encountered God and rededicated my life to Him, and was comforted by numerous men from my home church and just complete strangers that I didn't even know, and were open and shared their struggles with me and were in the same boat with me. And I felt empowered, loved, and like I was seen. I no longer felt alone in my sin, and that weekend I came to know my Creator and the one who paid it all for me. What I had been battling and the expectations I was trying to achieve on my own were lifted off of me. And for the first time, I was able to understand Jesus and what He really did for me. And I got to experience it for myself. What I was trying to accomplish on my own had already been won, and my sin was paid for, all because Jesus took my place in death. And in His resurrection, my sin is cast away as far as from the east is to the west. Since then, I've been walking with God and learning to trust His path and plan for my life. He has blessed me beyond measure, and just over and over, and I couldn't be more thankful. And He's put me in places and situations, and I am proudly serving my God and trying my best every day to live for Him. And even as I say that, I still struggle with the thought I once believed that being saved meant that I had my life together and that sin would no longer be an issue. And it still bothers me that I still struggle with old habits that I've created, and that I still continue to do things that I hate. But it's like this verse in Proverbs that says, as a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats its foolishness. But in these moments where I am weak and mess up, I know that I have, and it convicts me. And these habits that I've created and let fester in my life for so long, I'm now allowing God to work through me and overcome them. And He has given me a new life and new desires. And what now gives me so much peace is knowing that it's not what I do that earns favor with God, but rather what Christ has already done.